What sparks your curiosity? Maybe it's a path you've always wanted to explore, but fear kept you from taking the leap. Maybe you're already practicing your craft, but need more insight, perspective, or direction to fully walk in your calling. Or maybe you're not sure what it is yet. For many of us, the hardest part is simply beginning. Not because we lack the dream, but because we don't always know where to begin. Whether it's becoming an artist, a designer, a photographer, creative director, or producer, closing the gap between dreaming and doing doesn't require much. Sometimes, all it takes is a conversation.
So, my name is Yana Bestrova. I was born in Kyiv, Ukraine, and currently I live between France, Paris, and New York, United States. So this is the director of Rutgers Art Museum. They bought 8 pieces of mine a year before last, of different stages of my art process, because I started very young. So there were pieces when I did in '89, there were pieces that I did like 10 years ago, and there were some really recent landscapes. So here we go. This is a show that is a result of several, it's not a retrospective, but there are about 10 years of work here. They envelop all the directions of my work, meaning that you have landscapes and you have abstractions. These are my latest main 2 directions of activity. The Ukrainian tradition of painting is very rich and unfortunately extremely underexposed in the world. There was not enough of lobbying and information about Ukrainian art in general and painting specifically, and so people are only just starting to discover, because of this unfortunate reality, starting to discover that it is an important and very interesting part of art. I'd like to be a part of it. Working on colors, playing with colors and making them the center of my attention for long years. It's one of the important pillars of my work. They are always very complex in composition. They're not just pigments taken out of a box or jar or whatever, a tube. And amongst other things, they have, I always think of importance of color, psychological impact of color for every work. So these 2 are my favorites. This one in particular is interesting in the fact that it is a very layered work. It has several ways of being read, not only the obvious visual, but it has a hidden layer that you can only see when you turn the lights off. It has a glowing message writing on the wall, which is to do with the subject matter of the picture. It came at a slightly troubled personal time. It has nothing to do with politics. It's very personal, and the colors are complex. The composition is ambiguous and is set up to be interpreted by the viewer. I never impose my interpretation, even though I work on every work extensively, thinking through the composition, the color, and the meaning of what I'm doing. But I do like to leave the interpretive space to the viewers. And my goodness, it has been so surprising. People see their own history in my works, which is very pleasant. I should probably have found a name more explicit, but it's slightly erotic. By the way, purple is also a very erotic color. And it's about poppy flowers. I find that poppy flowers are very erotic at every stage of their life. So the poppies were a pretext, obviously, which lots of things have hidden. And again, the viewer is free to interpret and and seeing it whatever one pleases. I've had a very academic training, so I am, how should I say it? I do visualize more or less precisely before actually doing a work, making it happen physically. I see it quite clearly in my mind, but then actually the most complex part is making those two coincide, what you see in your internal eye and what you put out on canvas. Sometimes it takes time to actually find what exactly is the formula, what exactly is the best way to show what you see. Sometimes it's a disaster, sometimes it comes really quickly. The plein air landscapes, I just go out in nature, find a place, a composition, a set of colors that I like, and it just happens spontaneously, and then it works or it doesn't work. The abstractions do take lots of pre-meditation and pre-composition, lots of versions, lots of playing around till actually the right combination of things, elements is found. It's when it starts corresponding strongly to what you see in your internal eye, but then there comes a moment when it looks okay, but it might, every time you see it again, something might bother you. That means the work has to be reformulated and eventually touched up. Or maybe it means it doesn't work, or maybe it means that the whole idea was wrong. It might mean many things, but if you see it after a while, after you let it go, if you see it again, and it's a pleasure to your inner eye, and nothing bothers you, that means the work is perfect. If something is not right, you can always touch it up, and then sometimes it gives incredible results, and then you know, finally, after a while, you find the right little touch-up that just makes it happen. You know, I've never asked myself that question. I tried once in my life because it was kind of given from the start, from very early age, that I was an artist. I'm a third generation. I've had architects, painters and sculptors in my family. So I grew up surrounded by art. It's such an intimate and early part of my upbringing that I don't really imagine myself without it. I tried once to change a profession. I became a programmer because I do like math. And I kind of, you know, that was a challenge and it was really interesting to me. So I stopped altogether doing art for about 5 years, but it called me back. I've seen examples of people who are completely from random backgrounds, who somehow, by some miracle, are just prone to, capable of seeing, voila. I would say capable of being able to see things that other people look at, but not necessarily see. These are two very different things. So I think talent is important, but genius is overrated. I think if a person finds pleasure in visual discovery and visual reading, I would say, not just consumption, not just very short span attention span, visual husk, but going deeper and trying to understand things that are hidden, that person has all the chances to succeed. There is no one recipe. Different people can call themselves artists for different reasons and pursue very different agenda in their work. For some people it's important to sell, for some people it's important to have glory, for some people it's just enough to show. By the way, in Soviet Union, where I was born and grew up, it was almost impossible to have a show. I know that period that for some artists it was just enough to show, to make people see what you do was already a reward in itself. So there are all very different agendas and ambitions, and the only advice, if I could adventure to that territory, is I don't know, persistence and finding pleasure, finding the thing that gives you pleasure whether you have to do it or not. Actually, finding a thing that would be in itself a reward. My name is Yana Bestrova. I'm an artist.